Hello, hello, and welcome to 3 of 3. Time is on your side. I'm really enjoying this three-part series of an interactive webinar masterclass. The first one, we got to explore the world of essential oils, and that was how it was created. There was a Colorado mom who said she had watched the Healthy Daily Living Summit. She had some follow-up questions, something that was touched on. So we created a whole series of 3 different 45-minute journeys. And essential oils was one. And then last week was Ayurveda in a modern world. Now, these are all interactive where you could watch this one as your first one, and the second one as your last one, and the first one as your second one. Doesn't matter. They are standalone. I do get questions that come in, and they can't be here in the course, but they'll be watching it or listening on a review. So please do continue to respond with what your responses were, what your questions were, anything that you have as it relates to this. So time is on your side, and we are going to pop on. We have 2 viewers who are live with us today. Sometimes people will pop on halfway through and pop back off. And if at any time you have questions, please pop it into the chat if you want me to bring something up, or feel free to, raise your hand, put it out in front so that I know that you want to pop in and say something. The number one racket that I, as a natural-based healer, face when I'm working with somebody, when I say, what's your practice like? What's going on? And your practice might be, I wake up and I'm going to be really extreme. I wake up and I have a cup of coffee, a cigarette, and a candy bar. Okay, that's your practice. Where do you want your practice to be? Oh, I wake up and I do 20 push-ups and I journal for 10 minutes. Okay, that's where you are. What do you want your practice to be? So again, I went to 2 extremes of the spectrum as soon as we start looking at time. One of my favorite sayings of my teacher in India is, Somah, you're not confused, you just don't like your choices. And when he would say that to me, I would recognize that I wasn't confused about what I needed to do in the morning. I didn't necessarily like my choices because I didn't relate to them at that moment. So I want to debunk, demystify. If you're not liking your practice, if you don't feel good doing it, let's shift it. Let's talk about that. Let's come up with something that you can be excited about doing that does make you feel connected to yourself, because time really is an illusion. And Einstein talked about this, and we can get a little bit, geeky for a moment, where we have these different parameters of time. When you're loving something that you're doing, time goes by so quickly. When you hate what you're doing, time goes by so slowly. And so it's your relationship to the situation that you're having that starts to project this time bandit. Now, how can doing something, because I kind of talked about, hey, you do a meditation practice, you do a yoga practice, you do some feel-good mindfulness practice that's going to give you more time in your day. I gave you some sort of a guarantee. I don't know if it was a guarantee, but I said, you spend 45 minutes with me today, and I'm going to find you back at least 2 hours or more. And that's still, anytime you are watching this, especially, well, unless it's at the very end of the night, then that doesn't count. But you'll have to do what we do during the day, and then it will work. But when you are scattered, the universe, however you see that, call it God, call it spirit, call it science, call it air, ether, whatever, when you are scattered like a kite with lots of different holes in it, it can't really go in any direction. When that kite is streamlined, all of a sudden it goes, and then it goes, and then it goes, and then it goes. That is what happens with your mind. When you are caught up in a bad relationship, caught up in a financial situation, caught up in a job you don't like, caught up in fear of what do I do next? What do I do next? What do I do next? Am I really living my dream? What do I want to do? That is very, 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 very paralyzing in your time realm. And so you can't snap your fingers and get a solution. Well, how do you solve that? What you can do is tune in to who you are. You are science, you are nature, you are spirit, you are God, you are however you see yourself in divine form. But if you're scattered, you can't hear. And that's why one of my favorite biblical statements is be still and know. Now, the rest of that is I am God. But the I can be however you see that. In the Ayurveda world, we see God as this acronym saying, I possess the same powers that Jesus did. He just had more wherewithal and knew how to act on them, and he came to life so that we could do that. And when you connect with Ayurvedic tendencies of what are you sipping? What's the temperature like around you? Who are you talking to? What do you have going on in your day? These are all things that either excite you or irritate the bejeebers out of you. And every time you're irritated, it takes you back to another time when you're irritated, and back and back and back till you go into childhood. You go into in vitro, you go into past life, if you believe that. You've carried it forward in what we call a samskara. Again, it's a Sanskrit word meaning kind of, my interpretation is same scar. So you come in with the same scar, and you do have the opportunity in this lifetime of smoothing it out and not dancing with that the same way. That's Ayurveda. That's a yoga practice. That's a mindful practice. That's why people jump on a bike or go for a long drive or have a coffee talk, wine talk with a friend. You're trying to smooth out the rough edges of what's going on in your mind. Well, wouldn't it be magical if you could do all of that, or also always have the ability to just do it yourself? So that ability to do it yourself is saying, how many days do I want to commit to a specific practice? What do I want to get out of that practice? What will I feel if I get something out of that practice? What will I feel if I don't do the practice? We know how you'll feel if you keep doing things the same way they have been. You'll feel how you feel. And generally, if you're in an Ayurveda, self-healing, looking at yourself, observing conversations that you have with other people, working on your own self-worth, self-healing, self-health, you're wanting to change pieces of your story that's led you to this point. So Ayurveda, the science of life. Jyotish, the science of light. So when we have the science of light, that gives us these windows, these clues as to what's going on in your world. Are you living in the summertime? Are you living in the fall? Are you up in the high mountains? Are you down in the jungle? That's what looking at a chart, a Jyotish Vedic chart, gives you a snapshot of. A practitioner in Ayurveda goes, oh, this is kind of what's going on. You know what? Maybe do some of these breathing techniques because you need to cool down right now. Or, you know what? You've got a lot of creative energy coming in, and it's actually being misinterpreted as drama. And so instead of being super creative right now, you're being super dramatic. And all this energy that's coming in is going right out the other side. A chart and an Ayurvedic practitioner can help you bridge those two things together. You can actually do it yourself as well. You can actually learn these things as we have these conversations, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So I want you in your own world right now. Grab a piece of paper, grab your phone, grab some sort of a note-taking thing to do. Hit pause on the recording if you need to. I'll give you 30 seconds while I explain what we're doing. So listen if you can find it in the same time frame. I want you to think about what if you had 3 pain points in your life right now. Would it be physical? Oh, my shoulder hurts. Would it be emotional? I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm super scared because I don't think that my job is sustainable, or I don't like what I'm doing, or I don't know what to do next. Is it I don't like the behavior of one of my kids and that worries me? What's your pain point? What wakes you up? What are you worried about? What do you wish you had, what I refer to as Somah's magical wand? I keep it at my desk to remind me that we always have access to this. It's hard to remember. So what are your 3 pain points? And when you write down those 3 pain points, I want you to kind of feel what you feel. Why is this painful? Is it you have a 911 emergency financial situation that has to be solved by September 25th, and today is the 22nd? What's your pain point? Up to 3 things, maybe you have 1. Maybe you have 5. What are the 3 most important? We're only focusing on 3 things right now. All right. Now I want you to look at those pain points. And I want you to pause for a second and think, what were the 5, 10, or 15 steps that took to get to that point? We're not blaming, we're not shunning, we're not looking at somebody else. Oh, somebody crashed into my car and that caused this. We're looking just objectively as though we were writing a movie screen and we needed to explain to somebody steps that led up to this so that it would make sense at this point. When we look at our pain points and we look at the steps that led up to those pain points, that actually gives us our human power at where do you want to go from here. And the analogy that I use, and make sure that you're really being nice to yourself when you look at these pain points and what led up to that, is that if you put in directions, Siri, and she's giving you directions and you go the wrong direction, what does Siri do? Turn right, turn left, readjusting, re-updating, readjusting. There's no, hey, dummy, you did that wrong. Hey, loser, how come you did that wrong the 3rd time? How come you're not going? Nobody's back talking if you miss your turn. So I want you to have that fun little metaphor in mind when you set your practice moving forward, or when you look at what the 3 steps were, 5 steps, 20 steps that led to these pain points. We're not blaming. We're not blaming anybody, ourselves, our parents, our lineage. We're looking at what led to that. And when you can start to have an awareness of, wow, this is a habitual tendency. It's an urge. It's just an urge. This urge led me to do this, to do this, to do this. Because what's underneath that? What's the underlying racket? What's the underlying insecurity? What's the underlying desire to fit in? Where did I feel disconnected? So we start to psychoanalyze and we start to see what our habits are. When I wake up in the morning, what's the first thing that I do and why? What am I nurturing? If I wake up in the middle of the night, what do I do to self-soothe back to sleep? Now, let's flash forward. What is it that you want to see in your lifestyle, your habits? I want to wake up and my day be like this. And at noon, I want to feel this in my lifestyle. I want to have connected with this many people. I want to have my relationships be like this. What's the this? So I want you to look at your pain points and then what would be the opposite of that? So what would be the accomplishment of not having that pain point? Instead, I would be this. And feel a little bit of the enthusiasm of what that would feel like. Feel that enthusiasm. Feel that, feel that, feel that. Pain point number 1, what was it? What's the opposite of that? What's your goal target? And maybe that goal target is 20 years from now, 10 weeks from now, 10 hours from now, whatever, but make it urgent. Take a little less time than what you think that you need, maybe half. And just see what goes off in your body. Oh, I can't, this isn't working for me, not able to. Just check in. 3 pain points. What would be the opposite of that? What do you feel in your body when you see the opposite of that? Now, when you look at the pain points, what do you feel in your body? Is there a particular spot in your body? Is it in your elbows? Does your head go off? Does your heart hurt? Do you feel all of a sudden suddenly confused? What? So now write down any adjectives that you are feeling. Are you feeling more clarity? Are you feeling irritation because you think this is dumb? Are you feeling excitement because you feel like you're accomplishing something? Are you feeling worried about time because you're not sure if you, what are you feeling? And give me, not me, in your own writing, 3 adjectives. Describe what you're feeling. What are you feeling right now? What are you feeling? So 3 pain points. We had what's the opposite of that? And had you explain and express in your own internal world what it would feel like to accomplish that, what that amount of time would be, cut it in half. And then what are you feeling about just that right now? Now, if you're on with me live, and you feel comfortable and you want to share that, I can pause the recording or we can pop in live and share. And I think that would be fun for those at home because I will get emails and personal messages of people at this point of what their experience was. If you're live, I'd love to have your feedback. You can share your pain points or not. You can share what the opposition is or not. You can share how you're feeling in the now or not. And you can share anything that you've learned about the concept of, hey, if I have a scattered mind, there's no way I'm going to be as organized as if I can start to figure out how to organize my mind. That's a dangerous word for people like me because I can tend to have an organization to my chaos. But are you with me right now? Do you have any questions? Is there anything that anybody wants to ask? You can either pop it in the chat or put it, take yourself off mute. Or do we still have Geneva or did we lose her? Geneva, are you still here? Sometimes when people have their cameras off, it kind of evaporates the whole screen. Oh, you are there. See that? That's so weird. Usually you'll just like say their name, but instead, like it looked like you were like, poof, gone. Hey!
That's probably why she had it off.
So Marissa or Geneva, any comments that you want to make at this point? Any aha moments about the time, the Ayurveda, the health, wellness?
I mean, I can answer the question of like how I feel when I think about doing, fixing this problem and it being done in half the amount of time and all that. I feel like I don't have enough time. I feel overwhelmed and like I stressed out and like I feel like I can't breathe deeply and like I need to start going right now. I feel that like scattered, chaotic feeling.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you for your authenticity and your truth. And for those watching, many of you will know Geneva because you're in this list who will be seeing her and you're just watching the review. But Geneva, she's done my 200-hour yoga teacher training. She's come to India. She has a very lengthy, beautiful, rich business history as a midwife. She's around extremely chaotic life and death situations, babies coming into the world. So please have grace with yourself when you're on this path, because I know we all have the misnomer. One of two things happens of, I'm never going to be able to change myself anyways, and so we don't even embark on the path. Or two, we embark on the path and we think within 6 weeks or that 200-hour yoga teacher training, you're going to have it all figured out. And no longer are you going to be stressed or have a scattered brain and everything is just going to fall into place. And we really recognize this is a practice. So again, thank you, Geneva. And I'm going to address that conversation. That's perfect. Because I would say 100% of the people watching can relate to you. And if that wasn't their number one problem, it was probably in their number 3 problems. So thank you. Thank you. How about you, Marissa? Anything that you want to contribute? I know that Marissa said she had some dogs barking in the backdrop, and so she kind of had to move herself around if she was going to go on off of mute. And I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you wish to contribute how you're feeling right now or how this exercise has been so far before we go into a little particular practice. You're still muted. I can't hear you. If you can take yourself off mute. There you go. Oh, no, you're still muted. And if you don't want to speak, you don't have to. You're still muted. Are you trying to unmute or do you want me to just go on? Why don't you put your hand in front if you want me to go on, or if you're trying to unmute, I'll wait. Can you hear me? I'm gonna pause the recording while we're waiting a second here. Just pause.
Just say that I feel the same as Geneva.
Yes, go ahead. It was just asking you to confirm that you knew it was being recorded. Are you there? Keep talking. Oh, did we lose you again, Marissa? I wanted to be sure that we captured your whole conversation. Are you there, Marissa? Are you frozen? Ah, sorry for those watching the review. I want to hit pause again and see if she pops back on. We will continue. I think we lost Marissa for a moment. Maybe she'll pop back in. So what I'd like to do is take this mini practice that we just did right now about journaling and writing those things down, and imagine that this is something that you're going to put into a particular practice. So let's say, what I want you to do is respond, all of you who are either live in the chat or back at home watching this on the review. Tell me how many days you can legitimately commit to see if this works, just to see if this works. And what this works is you're going to individually create your own personal practice for a minimum of 3 days in a row. I would love it to see if you could go 5 days in a row. But I want you to, whatever we agree to, you agree to. You're not going to do my practice. You're not going to do Geneva's practice. You're not going to do Marissa's practice. Whatever you agree to based on, I'll give you some suggestions and you'll draft it up. 3 days. You'll have 3 days on, 1 day off, 1 day on, 1 day off. So if you really want to see that you can create more time in your day, and you're going to live up to my guarantee, that you have to agree to practice or to commit to at least this amount of time to see if this works. Now, if you want to be what I would call a little edgier, and you can commit to 5 days in a row, that would be a superstar approach. 5 days in a row, and then I want you to take 2 days off. And then I want you to go 1 or maybe 2 days back on. That's superstar. I'm being a little competitive with my words because I want to challenge you. But the reason is I want you to have your own visceral experience with what I'm about to invite you to do. And I want you to be your own your motivating factor. Not because Somah said, not because I read it in a book, not because I watched it on the summit and Anand said, not because I saw it in Katie Couric. I want you to have an experience that you go, wow, okay, I understand. And this really supported me in this way. And this is why I want to do that. I want you to motivate you. And that's really what Ayurveda is about. Yes, you have a practitioner. Yes, you can go to a yoga class. But you can also learn some of your own, you didn't even know it was available, options, and create your own personal practice. So 3 days, 5 days. Notice I didn't give you the option of 4. You're going to commit to 3 days or 5 days. Then you're going to take, if it's 3 days, you're going to take 1 day off. And then you're going to go back on 2 days. Did I say that right the first time? You have to go back and watch the recording. And if you're going to go 5 days, you're going to go 5 days on, take 2 days off, and go 1 day back on, maybe another. Now, what's the on, off that I'm talking about? You're going to create your own personal practice, and you're going to eliminate something that you don't like, and you're going to replace it with something that you do want. What does that look like? Let's say I'm having an issue sleeping, and I really wanted to cut back coffee. Maybe I have wake up issues and I really need to cut back wine. Maybe I have cigarette issues and I really want to cut out cigarettes. Maybe I have tech, I'm always looking at my phone and I really need to cut out minutes on my phone. Maybe I have food selection issues at lunchtime and I really want to shift that. Maybe I'm wanting to get myself outside in the fresh air and go walking or just golf or hit balls or play pickleball with a friend, and I'm just not doing that. We all have things that we want to do that we know will enhance the quality of our life. That's Ayurveda. You don't have to know what your dosha is. You don't have to know what the herb is. None of that. This is a living modern Ayurveda conversation. So your practice is going to be, what is something that you want to do more of? What's blocking you? Because we know it's not time. we're going to give you a breath practice too, and that's going to be part of this. But I'm doing activities right now. Pick one activity that you want to do more of, and pick one activity that you would like to replace it with. So maybe you like being on your phone, but rather than being on your phone for 60 minutes, you're going to cut it to an hour and 40 minutes. Oh, so 40 minutes. Instead of it being 2 hours, it would be an hour and 40 minutes. Instead of it being an hour, it would be 40 minutes. What can you shift? Now, what can you do instead with that time? One of the things that you're going to have as an option is you're going to do a breath practice. And I'm going to invite you to that. So that's one of the options, breath practice. Another option might be, I'm going to spend time journaling. I've really been wanting to up my journaling. I want to create what I want to do in my life. No, I want to work out. I always want to work out. All I'm going to do at home is I'm going to do one of these crazy little, you can see them on Instagram, some person, whatever your body type is, you'll find somebody same body type, and they do 10-minute, 7-minute, 3-minute, 20-minute workouts on Instagram, and you can follow them, and they'll do things, and they'll have a can of soup, and that's what they'll be using up and over their head. So again, if you want, it's available, and it's free. Now, if you want to have some new food ideas, I really want to cook at home more often, and I just at the last minute, I don't want to go shopping. I'm giving you all different ideas of what you can put down on your list and spin off of what I'm saying to something else. The shopping food thing is a really fun one. And I did this with a girl who wanted to cook, hated to cook for one, wanted to shop, hated to shop for one. So again, she created that little racket and said, all right, I'm going to make this fun. And she would get on a phone call with her mother or a best friend or somebody, and she would already have her list done. And she would have her list done because she would go into Pinterest and she would come up with some fun food ideas that were easy cooking recipes. Make her list together, have her phone call ready. It's all about setting you up for success of what you want. You're not supposed to be forceful with life. You're supposed to get up and go do that workout and go eat that whatever salad and have that super healthy conversation. That's super forceful. That's not fun. That's not fun. But setting the time, hey, I want to replace certain friends and low quality conversations with certain people and high quality conversations. How do I find those conversations? That's where this is about. This is what Ayurveda is all about. I want to do 15 jumping jacks. I want to do 25 push-ups. I want to do 25 sit-ups. I want to do then a breath series. Whatever you want to do to up-level your life, make a commitment for 3 days or 5 days. 3 days or 5 days. Okay, that's a physical commitment you're going to do. It's either, and it can be up to, again, 3 different things. 3 different things that you can do, whatever. Maybe it's one thing. Maybe it's, I want to get up, I want to have this little, Tuesdays I want to go to the gym. Wednesdays I want to go do yoga. Thursdays I want to get up and watch the sunrise and sip tea and journal about the creative things I want to do in my life. So again, I'm giving you lots of different ideas. Just shape shift something that's not working and put in something that would benefit you. Okay, now we're ready for my favorite part. I love breath work. You know why I love breath work? Because I hated it. I don't know why I didn't like it. I just thought it was weird. It was boring. And the breath techniques that I would be doing with other people, it was very like box breathing. We're going to kind of up the ante here a little bit. So I'm going to go jump right into some advanced breathing techniques. I'm going to modify it right away though, but I'm going to give you the advanced version first. So one of the breath techniques that I want you to invite to for, again, commit 3 days or 5 days. And this isn't part of your repertoire. The total amount of time of everything that you're doing, including breathing, should never take more than 20 minutes. Okay, so you're going to commit to 20 minutes 3 times a day. If you don't have 20 minutes, then you need to commit to 40 minutes. I'm being serious. Because you do have 20 minutes. And we're going to show you. We're going to show you. I'm going to prove it to you. So, all right. So what we're going to do for this first breath technique is we're going to do a breath of fire, but we're going to do it out of only one nostril. So I don't know how my screen is if it's mirroring me, but my right hand is coming up. My right thumb is going to come into my right nostril. And for 1 minute, I'm going to do a breath of fire, pushing air out through my nose. Now, what if you have a stuffy nose? What if you have a hard time breathing? You're going to go really lightly. And if you have to kind of support it with your breath, with your mouth the first few times. Okay, nobody's judging, nobody's watching you. You're committing to the practice, and let the details of how efficient that practice is start to work themselves out by day 2, by day 3, by day 5, which is why 5 is the superstar. So right thumb, right nostril, and you can rest your index finger on your third eye, setting a timer. Now you're going to exhale. I can already tell. Keep going, keep going. I'm going to talk to you for a second. You can go slower or faster. Faster would sound like, if you've been doing breath work with me for a while, jump into the fast word. Close the eyes, really feel that energy at the third eye, and notice that the navel is snapping in every time you exhale with force. Now, if you want it slower because it's already making you feel lightheaded or dizzy, go really slow. If you are pregnant or trying to get pregnant, go slow, go slow. So the slow would feel like, and if you have a stuffy nose, going slow will allow you to slowly draw the energy in through that mucus. The left hand can rest on the belly so you can feel that snap in toward the navel, snap in toward the navel, snap in toward the navel. Now take a nice long deep breath in. Lower the hand down, exhale. Close the eyes and just observe for the next few seconds. How do you feel? How does that one nostril feel? How does your mind feel? How does your energy feel? Just notice, just observe. All right. Now bring the left hand up to the left nostril, index finger on the third eye. And your hand is going to snap in again as the breath presses out through the right nostril. Exhale. I'm going to speed it up for those of you who want to hear that more rapid flow. Again, you will notice one side is more clear than the other. Feel the energy in the body when you're only giving permission to one side of the brain to find oxygen from. Notice the thoughts that come up, but try to stay with the breath. So stay engaged with the breath and try to ignore the to-do list. Observe it. Try to ignore that this is dumb, but observe it. Try to ignore that this isn't helping. Observe it. Try to ignore the, hey, I'm really liking this. Just observe it. Now inhale through the right nostril, slowly, slowly. Hold the breath up at the third eye this time. Just hold the breath up at that energy at the base of the eyebrows, or the base of the forehead between the two eyebrows. And then exhale. Notice how you feel. Notice what your mind feels like. Notice what your heart feels like. So this one is mandatory. Mandatory. All 3 days. All 3 days. We're going to do one more. Mandatory. All 5 days. I'm going to simplify this, but it's a complex breath. We're going to alternate inhaling through the nose and the lips. That was one inhalation. One inhalation broken into 4 equal parts. I held it up at the top, and then I'm going to take it out same way. Immediately draw it back in. Hold the breath. Close the eyes if you can. Feel the energy lifting up through the body, and then exhale it out. Inhale it in. Exhale. I know this is complicated, especially if you're new to this. You're focusing on the inhale, you're focusing on the alternating. Your mind is not allowed to multitask, and so you're going to get confused. Was that the third time? Was that the fourth time? Watch what goes off. Watch that disconnection. That's what we're here to observe, so that we can work with what is and allow it to be more clear. Let's do 2 more rounds. We're going to go a little bit more over time. Inhale. With the eyes closed, again, notice how you feel. And if you were to write 3 adjectives of how you're feeling right now, what would they be? Do you feel like you have more time between thoughts, more space between thoughts? Do you feel like you have more awareness of a thought versus an emotional reaction? Just notice. And then go ahead and flutter your eyes open. Come back into the space. Now, if you are at home, I want you to take at home. If you are watching this on the review, take a few notes. What are you feeling right now? What do you want to capture about this? As you're taking those notes, and if you're live, same thing. What are you feeling? What are you going to capture? And I'm going to give you what the practice is. So you're going to each day, 3 days in a row, commit to the breath of fire out of one nostril, the breath of fire out of the other nostril, the what's called Sukha Shunya, alternating nose, lips, nose, lips, nose, lips, nose, lips. Inhale, nose, lips, nose, lips, nose, lips, nose, lips. On the exhale. And you're going to commit to 1 minute of each. So that's 3 minutes of breath. 1 minute, one nostril, 1 minute, the other nostril, and 1 minute when you're doing the alternating Sukha Shunya. 3 minutes. You're guaranteeing you're going to do that all 3 days. 5 days, superstar. Again, ask yourself right now, if I can't do that 5 days in a row, then I don't really want to see if it works. I'm just going to be convinced that it's not, because my highest ego self is going to shut down saying, we don't really want you to progress. And I was like, really, your highest ego self? So I'm going to challenge you with that. 3 days in a row. Now, on top of that, because we have a 20-minute time fill, right? So I'm going to only fill you up with another 25 minutes. I'm going to give you 2 minutes of buffer of starting, stopping your watch and looking at your, sipping your tea or sipping water in between. The other 15 minutes, I said 25. The other 15 minutes is going to be something that you're going to do for yourself. Are you going to pick a new menu? Are you going to look at Instagram or in Pinterest, pick out what you're going to eat, create a quick little shopping list? Because if it takes you more than 15 minutes, again, it's a focus issue. You're answering messages, you're getting interrupted, you're doing something else. You're committing for 3 days or 5 days, you're not going to get interrupted. It's priority, focus, time. PFT. Priority focus time, 20 minutes. You're guaranteeing that, because I'm going to prove to you, you're going to get hours extra out of your day. So maybe it's you're going to journal. Maybe it's you're going to do a little mini quick workout. You can go more than 15 minutes. You can do a little mini yoga flow. You could do a meditation. You could sing. You could, but you don't get to go just take a shower. Or you could go take a bubble bath. If that's my carving it out time. That's something that I need to go do. Or maybe a shower is something like, I can't ever seem to fit that in. I'm going to put on music. I'm going to have candles or incense burning in there. And I'm going to take a nice long 15-minute shower. Great. What are you committing to that you want to do more of because you're trying to get rid of a particular habit Again, the amount of time that it takes to smoke a cigarette, the amount of time that it would take to have that extra glass of wine, the amount of time that it would take to have that gossipy phone conversation. Whatever you're getting rid of, we're adding 20 minutes of constructive time of something new that you want to do. 3 days, and it can be different each day. What you're committing to all 3 days that is not different is the breathing. You're going to do that set every day, 3 days. So, can I get a thumbs up for those who are live? Pop on camera. Are you committed? Are you committed to 3 days in a row? Have I enrolled you? Yes, yes, yes. Just give me a thumbs up in the camera. Are you committed to 3 days? You will find time. Thank you, Marissa. Geneva. I don't know if you ended up popping off. I want you to end up responding to me after you watch the review of this. What are you committed to? Be as detailed as you want, or just say, I'm committed to doing this, and I'll follow up in 3 days. And then breaking down is not an option. It's not an option. There's going to be that little glimmer, that little glimmer, that little glimmer, that little glimmer, that little glimmer. Thank you, Geneva, that little glimmer. And when you want to give up, you won't give up, because you're going to commit to 20 minutes, 3 to 5 days in a row. You're going to go to 5 days. Why are we even talking about 3 days? Because you're going to feel so good. And if you go to 3 days and you do the 1 day off, you're going to jump back on and go, I feel better on the days that I do. Why? Because you were more efficient with your conversations, because you were more focused when you went to the grocery store, because you were more single item, got things done. Breath work will allow you to refocus your thought. This activity will allow you to feel better about yourself. Removing an activity will increase your self-worth. And after 3 days, after 5 days, you will say, I was way more productive, and I did 3 extra hours worth of work, and I didn't stay up extra late, and I didn't have to get up extra early. I was extremely productive with my time. And you just naturally created an Ayurvedic experience. Does that make sense? The third part of the breath work, it was just 1 minute on one nostril, 1 minute on the other nostril, and then 1 minute on the Sukha Shunya. That was the where you're alternating nose, lips, nose, lips, nose, lips, nose, lips on the inhale. Alternating nose, lips, nose, lips, nose, lips, nose, lips on the exhale. That was the third breath. Well, I feel like we did 2 breaths. One just had 2 parts to it. Do you understand that? So I gave you 5 minutes to do that, knowing it takes time to stop and start and to whatever. And then 15 minutes to either plan your day, have that morning tea time, journal, whatever you want to do that's going to replace a particular habit that you're wanting to replace. And you're committed to that yourself. And if you want to share that with me, I would love you to respond to that email that you received with the Zoom link. I love to be accountable to you, to me. And if you share with me, I'll share with you, but you have to go first. All right. Any questions? Thank you for in the chat. Geneva says she's committed. Marissa says she's committed. She asked for the other part of the breath. She got that. So all of you on the review, thank you for watching. Can't wait to hear your feedback. This was 3 of 3. If you've loved this series, if you want to continue this in some other way, let me know. I'm just trying to create more survey, like, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? How can I support you on your path? And again, if you find that you have more time in your day, I want to hear that. All right. Peace out, everybody. And a whole lot of stability. Ciao.